Welcome to Department of Management Studies in IIT Trichy. AbhiVyakti has been a magazine of expression for domesticks. In an effort to raise the level of AbhiVyakti, we present an online version of LaRecontre Online, an interview with entrepreneurs. So let's move on for the interview.
And welcome to Department of Management Studies. Thank you for accepting the invitation, sir. First of all, pleasure. Actually, we have been taking the interviews of entrepreneurs for our magazine called AbhiVyakti, but we didn't have this video session. So we wanted to innovate something and put this in YouTube as well as put this in AbhiVyakti, our magazine. So let me start with the little doubt that how did you get this name, sir, called Pickbrain?
It has nothing to do with my entrepreneurship.
Okay.
It actually started before that when I was working in the Times of India.
Okay.
And I'm a media management guy.
Okay.
So being a media management guy, in those days I was not typically a student of journalism.
Okay.
So I did not come under editorial staff.
Okay.
And I started writing a quiz column because quizzing was popular in the newspaper. And
In Times of India?
In the Times of India.
Okay.
But I could not use my real name because I was not an editorial team member.
Okay.
So a new name had to be coined. And I guess beyond South India, Pickbrain was easier than Giri Balasubramaniam.
Yeah.
So it just stuck on after that.
So you like your being called Pickbrain?
It fits with the business well. It also has helped me to be fair and honest because it helps me detach myself from my normal life to the life on stage. And we all say we have one life, so if I get to live two lives in one, why not? So Pickbrain is the brand and Giri is the human being.
Sir, let me get back to the entrepreneurial questions because this section focuses on entrepreneurial things. So,
Okay.
how is your entrepreneurial venture going on, and what is the future of your company?
See, knowledge business in India is huge as a sector, and that's really how we got into it. If you look at us very clearly, we are not into the quiz show segment, which is fun and dance and film based and so on. We are on the knowledge side of the quiz business, which means we very clearly look at quizzing as an alternative tool to education. So if you look at Greycaps as a company, I would believe we are like the moon is to the earth, and if the earth is the education sphere, we are in the same orbit, but we are a supplementary system to the existing educational system. So that is really how I see Greycaps. And if that is the orbit in which I am, there is no doubt in my mind that the biggest industry in this country in future is going to be education. We've understood that in immense ways, that as a nation our strength is knowledge and nothing else. We are a poor country, we need to accept that. We don't have great natural resources, we need to accept that. We're not an oil-rich country, we need to accept that. What do we have? God's given us brain power. So, if as a nation we're going to look at education seriously, Greycaps has a great future.
And what will be the future? How do you plan to expand Greycaps?
We've already moved, contrary to public perception, 60% of Greycaps' revenues come from non-quiz business. Though I think the quiz business makes more noise than the other sides of the business, maybe because of the media and the channels that I'm on. We are big in the general knowledge business in schools. We are becoming fairly big in the placement enabling of students in engineering and graduation and post-graduation colleges. Because what is happening with the educational system is, it's like a patient. And you need vitamin supplements sometimes. And the vitamin supplement is the industry knowledge that you have to gain. So we are the providers of that vitamin supplement. The academic knowledge is provided by the institutes. You need someone to come and provide you with the industry knowledge. You need someone to come and provide you with the soft skills. That is today what makes a student ready to go into the market. So in my view, 50% of a student ready for market comes from academics. 25% comes from industry knowledge and 25% comes from soft skills. So we're part of that second part of the 50%.
So, in what way are you planning to expand? Are you planning for any investment from other sources?
My advice on entrepreneurship is never build a company looking for investments. That's a wrong route. The best way to build a business is to get the business to fund its growth. A lot of people set their ambitions beyond their capabilities sometimes. It works for a few, it does not work for a lot many. In fact, a lot of companies which go in for huge investments don't click. What's written about is the 2 or 3 which do click out of the 25 who did not click. But unless it's an infrastructural heavy sector or an investment heavy sector, you don't need investment per se to fuel business ideas. My key resources would be people, and to get people you don't necessarily need investments. So it's not necessarily our growth engine.
I would like to ask more questions to that, but I'm not venturing into that right now. Okay. I mean, I don't think this is the platform for that. What I would like to ask, do you think location is an important part in starting an entrepreneurial venture? Because in your case, Bangalore was an important location. So has it fueled growth? I mean, location-wise, is it important for entrepreneurial growth?
Nature of business would dictate that answer. For someone like me who is in the knowledge space, over a period of time the geographic location that I am in has not really made a difference. Because I'd really like to believe that my office location now, realistically speaking, is not Bangalore. My office location would be 202.47.164.33, which is a server number. Because I've got people who do research for me in Singapore, I've got people who do research in Dubai, I've got people who do research in London. And they all meet on a server. So a large amount of my staff is not located in any office. So in my case, I don't think geography matters. We do have an office because that's the core headquarters, so to say. For the school business, which is more brick and mortar, which is more publishing oriented, which is more books, we do require a place and so on because we've got content staff and things like that. But for the quiz business, it's completely global, so we don't necessarily need
So how did your entrepreneurial venture start, sir? I mean, you had some initial investment?
No, not really. Like any dream Indian story, we also started with 1,000 rupee bank balance and so on. But it clearly started with the identification of a segment where we found opportunity for growth. It started with identifying a segment which needed something to be done differently. It started with the recognition of a segment which was bound to grow. So there were very clear business fundamentals to what we got into. For us, perhaps it was fortunate that the segment that we found was also a segment that we were hugely passionate about. So that's how the marriage happened. But in all honesty, I'd like to believe if anybody else had started this, they would have grown perhaps as much as us or more than us. Because our own contribution to this in terms of our persona is probably 10%. It's the nation that's contributing in terms of growing. We've been right place, right time. So I wouldn't take too much credit for that.
So, what do you think are the different stages through which an aspiring entrepreneur has to go through? If he knows about, if he has a little bit knowledge,
see, every aspiring entrepreneur has to be very clear in his or her mind on what is the business that one is getting into. Why is he getting into that business? And very clearly, who is going to benefit from that business? If you are not going to bring a very clear benefit proposition to the table, it's going to be very difficult to sustain that business. Whatever the business. You could be in retail, you could be in product development, you could be in, if it does not add value to the life of an end consumer or a customer, you are in the wrong business. So my strong advice to youngsters is, a lot of them make this mistake of trying to blindly convert their passion into a business without analyzing whether there is a market for that passion. So that is important. At the end of the day, there are a lot of passionate areas which don't necessarily bring economics to the table. So you've got to be very careful to answer the economic question first.
So you are saying that passion and entrepreneurship has to be kept separate?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying passion is extremely important for business. Otherwise you will not succeed. But simply because you like something does not mean that that's a business idea.
The blind kind of.
Yeah, you could be a coin collector, but is there a market?
In a nation like ours, unfortunately, when one man comes up with an idea, 9 men will come up with fantastic objections to that one idea. So you got to have the courage and conviction to convince 9 others that your idea is worthwhile. And for that you need huge self-belief. And that's the key. The second thing is to start early. When you start early, you don't have too many baggages to carry with you. Especially in the modern world that India lives in, young engineers, young B school students get 6 lakhs, 8 lakhs as campus salaries. And then you say, let me work for 5 years and then start a business. In 5 years' time, you would have reached 25, 30 lakhs or 20 lakhs of salary. Then you're looking for a business where you have to recruit 2 more people, that's 20 more lakhs, so 40 lakhs. And then you want a 50% margin, so that's 80 lakhs. Then you're hunting for a 1 crore idea and it doesn't come. So the big barrier to business is you and not the business. So if you start early, your chance of losing is far less. So in my opinion, if India has to change in entrepreneurship, we need younger entrepreneurs. India's average age on entrepreneurship is something like 31, 32. I was reading in some survey.
Okay.
That has to fall by about 8-10 years. I mean, why is the United States when it comes to entrepreneurship? We got 18, 19-year-old
Young kids.
college students. Name the 5 big giants that come to your mind in the US, all of them would have started when they were 18. Google, Facebook, Yahoo, you name it, Microsoft. All of them started when they were in college, when they had nothing to lose, everything to gain. That's the key.
And what is the truly most inspiration that you came from as inspired to start this venture?
India itself for me is a huge inspiration. I'm very passionate about India. I'm ex-Walt Disney. I would have easily left this country and gone to the United States. I was offered to become the general manager of the Singapore region when I was planning to quit. But I personally believe we need to be convinced about the idea called India for ourselves. There is no other place where it is our own. It's only India that is our own. I don't respect people who go outside India and create great ideas for people who don't belong to India. I would rather appreciate a small guy who opens a small idli shop at the corner of the street and feeds 4 people. To me, he's a greater entrepreneur than someone who starts a venture in the United States and makes millions. I don't respect that. So, to me, the greatest selling point is India. And if 500 people can create 500 great ideas in India, you've created an employment for about 1 million people in this country. That will change a nation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Sure.
Thank you so
I'm
much,
glad
sir.
you guys are looking at entrepreneurship.
Yes, sir.
I hope at the end of all this you start something.